Hey, and welcome to the first session of 40 Days of Community. Gary and I are so glad that you have chosen to join in community. This week, we will focus on love. Paul says in Galatians 5, verse 6, that it is faith that makes you love others. Faith makes us love others. It is through our faith that we begin to love. Throughout these next 6 weeks, we will try to build community through love in our church, in our small groups, and throughout our larger community. Now, I would like you to take a moment to read 1 Corinthians chapter 13. So press pause and someone in your small group read 1 Corinthians chapter 13.
I think that depending on how long you've been a Christian for, you would have actually got to realize that what matters most to God is love. There's no doubt about it. And you would have picked it up in 1 Corinthians 13 as you read it now, and through various other scriptures that we read through the Bible, that love is the most important scripture and the most important action and the most important attribute. As you experience faith and as you walk through your faith and as you live your faith, you'll know that love matters the most to God. And I love that scripture that Will read from Galatians 5 verse 6. You know that it's our faith that makes us love others, and it's our faith that brings us to love others. And again, as I said, from John 3:16, for God so loved the world, and then the greatest command of loving each other, the 1 Corinthians 13, it all adds up more and more and more for us to understand that love is the cornerstone, really, in essence, of our faith. Well, let's unpack a bit what it means, what this love means when we say it matters most to God. And I want to just pick up some things, and Will and I will speak about it. Now, according to Paul's letter to the church in Corinth in 1 Corinthians 13, the first thing is this, the first of 5, is that I realize that nothing I say will matter. If we show love for each other, and if love is the great commandment, and if that matters most to God, then nothing I say will really matter. We can say what we want, we can speak about what we want, we can say we love you, but it doesn't really matter what we say if we do not love. So in other words, and we have probably been the greatest time ever, we are able to communicate so much and say so much through, and we've never had so many tools available to us to communicate. There's probably of all times we're in a place in that where we could be the greatest communicators, but the thing is, so much is said, but our saying that we love doesn't really count if it's not followed up by actions, and as we read in 1 Corinthians 13 verse 1, words that speak about us loving each other don't really matter or count if it's not followed up by action. If I love, and I can say I love you, or I can say I love this, or I can say I love that, but if it's not followed up by action, what I say doesn't matter at all unless it's followed up by action. And words at the end of the day are meaningless unless they're followed up by action. The second, nothing I know will matter. In knowledge, and we can have as much knowledge as we want in 1 Corinthians 13 verse 2, even if I know, in other words, even if I have all the knowledge in the world but I don't have love, it's not going to matter. We can be, and funny enough, we can even be as knowledgeable as we want about the Bible. We can say, or we can have knowledge about science, or knowledge about biology, or knowledge about politics, and being knowledgeable, counts for nothing if we don't have love.
That's right.
Yeah. And again, especially for us in the church, and that we can read the whole Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, and we can know and we can quote as many scriptures, and we can have as much knowledge about the Bible, or as much knowledge about the world, or much knowledge about politics. But Paul is clear: we can have all that knowledge, but if we have no love, we have nothing.
Yeah.
The third thing that speaks about is that the Corinthians speaks about is nothing I believe. I mean, it's amazing. He says, even if I have faith that moves mountains,
Right.
but I have no love. I mean, that is so unbelievable. You know, you can believe as much as you want, but if that belief is not somehow transferred into love, if we don't take that belief, even our faith, you know, and if you think about it, well, you know, we just keep on thinking about the religious leaders of Jesus's time. You know, they believed.
Yeah.
You know, they had this belief in God. You know, and they spoke about it, but yet somehow even their belief, you know, in God, it wasn't transferred into love.
That's right.
And in fact, you know, Jesus spoke the most about against the Pharisees and Sadducees and the chief priests and all the rest of it, you know, and so even for them, their belief, and it's hard to imagine that, because in my mind, and it's sort of stuck in my mind, and that, you know, that faith and love go hand in hand. But you know, Paul's saying, even if I have faith to move mountains and I have no love, I have nothing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's a crazy thing.
Gary, if I don't live a life of love, nothing I give matters. I can be the most generous philanthropist in the world, and it doesn't matter if I don't live a life of love. It makes me think of the rich man and Lazarus. It makes me think of the poor widow
Yeah.
who did give because she loved. So nothing I give matters if I don't give out of love for God and love for neighbor.
Because if you think about it, that it's around the almost like if our motivation to give isn't love, you
Right.
know? Because sometimes it's difficult not to give without wanting something in return,
Right.
or give with almost selfish motives in that, you know.
We're
But-
such consumers.
Correct. But to get into the place in that where our only motivation to give, or you know, we give on our own terms, you know.
Right.
But in fact, if our only motivation that the Scripture draws us to in 1 Corinthians 13 is around motivation, is I'm giving out of love, not expecting anything in return, not without any terms or conditions, not out of any selfishness, or out of manipulation, but I give simply out of love.
Yeah.
I love that.
Lastly, I love how Paul makes the point that if I don't live a life of love, nothing I accomplish matters. Nothing I do, nothing I obtain, nothing really matters unless I live a life of love.
Yeah. So just to recap those 5 things of why it is that, you know, that love is the most important thing that matters to God. How we love is the most important thing that matters to God. And that's really part of the next 40 days, is we're going to be unpacking and understanding this idea of the greatest thing that we could ever do is love. And so just to recap those 5, nothing I say will matter if I don't love. Nothing I know will matter if I don't have love. All the knowledge in the world will not matter if I don't have love. Nothing I believe will matter if I don't have love. Nothing I give will matter if I do not love. And nothing that I accomplish will matter if I have no love. That really is 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 1 to 13 summed up. And as we said, that's what we're going to be basing on the next couple of weeks of our teaching.
Yeah. Gary, I wrote my senior thesis in college trying to define love. And turns out the Bible defines love 5 different ways. First, it says love is a command. Jesus said it's the greatest commandment.
Yeah.
Love thy God and love thy neighbor. Second, love is a choice. If you're looking at your study guide, circle go after. Go after love. It's a choice. You get to choose to love who you love. We hope in these next 40 days that you choose to love your small group.
Yeah.
Third, love is a conduct. Love is a behavior. We know that love isn't a feeling. You can tell your kid to be happy, but if your kid isn't happy, it's not going to be happy. The same with love. It's not a feeling, rather it's a behavior. Lastly, love is a commitment. If you're looking at your study guide, circle the phrase, keep on loving. Love lasts forever if we accept the love of Jesus. If we accept God's love and try to permeate that love through us, it lasts a lifetime. Eternity, really, even more than a lifetime.
That's right. Now, I can't remember who it was that said it, but someone said that our love for God is measured by how we love people.
That's right.
And that is so powerful in that, and when I think about this measurement and that, it's really, and in 1 John it speaks about we are able to love because God loved us first. And so we have this love that we inherit, and that we are just so fortunate to be a people who are so loved by this God who we worship, and so he pours out this love over us. And then really what the scriptures speak about then is then us being a conduit to love others and to love ourselves, so just think about that for a moment. Our love for God is measured by how we love others. And over the next 40 days, as part of the 40 days of community, this love is going to be tested. This is just a warning in advance that, you're going to be reading things and speaking about things and being challenged on things that are really going to test this love. But we know that it is in this time of testing and of this understanding that actually grows our faith. We want that by the end of the 40 days of community, that we are stronger as a community and we're stronger in community. And just like any muscle that has to be, exercised, so our heart is this muscle, and so our love is going to be exercised over the next 6 weeks. Hopefully it'll be a growing and a challenging experience for all of us. So as we've repeated, and you're going to hear it many more times, this love is going to form the foundation, and God's love for us and our love for others is going to form the foundation of the next 40 days of community. So this is something that is a bit of a challenge that we're asking you just to kick off this week. One is, and feel free to take notes on this or in your notebook, whatever it is, but we're going to be asking you to show someone some form of extravagant love in this next week. Someone that's even undeserving or whatever it may be. And it might be doing whatever you may want to do. It might be sending an email or a phone call to someone. Have you ever had it where you've been prompted to phone someone or to call someone or to email someone, but to live out that prompting this week, but to show someone an unconditional or do an unconditional act of love for someone that you may know, or just you may be prompted to show love in some form of way, in some way, in this next week. And that, so if you can just think about that, just to show someone love, and maybe it would be not someone that would expect you to love them, or if it is, just to love whoever that is even more, but just show some form of love to someone. And then during the discussion time today, as part of the 40 days of community, we're going to ask you to, as a group, to do some form of service within our community. And what we'd like you to do is just begin discussing that within your small group today. Just start planting the seed, start making some, so you have some ideas about what it is that you can do. Maybe something around for the homeless, for the poor, for the elderly, for something. But just start praying and discussing something that you specifically as a small group, your own small group, will do at the end of these 40 days of a community. In wrapping up, I think, in my mind, we can't lose on this. No. There is only an upside to us being together, one in small groups. You and I have always said, and we've said it as part of the life of Littleton Street, that a circle is better than a straight line.
That's right.
And we can't even begin to speak about the importance of being in small groups. And we hope and trust that in meeting together in this form and fashion, that the discussion will be lively. We know that not everyone is going to agree on everything, and we're okay with that. That's the beauty of small groups. But just don't forget to love on one another, no matter what, even although we may differ in some of our opinions. Okay, so this week the challenge is number one, go and love on someone, surprise someone, just be creative about loving someone. Send a message, make a phone call, send an email, and then as a group begin discussing in what area you as a group can show that love in action to someone or a group of people who may need it in our community. We're really glad that you're all together in your small group. We're praying for your small group, and it is our prayer that you continue to grow in God's love in your small group.